My name is Adam. I'm a person in recovery, and what that means for me is I haven't taken a drink or a drug since November 2nd of 2010.
I've been in recovery since December 26, 2011.
My name is Cameron, and I've been sober since December 10th, 2009.
My name's Garrett, and I've been in recovery since 2010.
My name is Gabriella, and I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol. I've been in recovery since February 15th of 2012.
One of the biggest stigmas, I think, is that people who are in recovery are like bad people, or they're someone to be afraid of or watch your back when you're around them.
A lot of people have the misunderstanding that this is really about a lack of willpower and a weakness of an individual.
It doesn't discriminate against anybody. You can be a person of any color, any age. You can be physically attractive or have a great job. You could be a doctor or a lawyer. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, it is a disease. It's not really like a choice. Like, I didn't choose to be a drug addict. My journey of recovery, it's funny. So I got sober on February 15th of 2012. I got sober after having been arrested. I was addicted to heroin, and I struggled with that for years. I started drinking when I was 14, and progressively I eventually ended up getting to doing heroin when I was 17. And that just continued up until I was 21. And so following an arrest, I don't know, I guess I just had this moment where I realized this isn't what I wanted to do with my life.
By the time I got to a junior year in high school, I was using every day. And the type of drugs I used became harder and harder. It started with pills and then eventually turned to harder drugs. And then I graduated high school and I couldn't manage work or paying for an apartment or anything like that. So little by little, I stopped paying my bills. I started selling everything out of my apartment, and then eventually I just moved into a car. And that's how I lived for a couple years out of high school. And then again, my mother was going in for a surgery, so the whole family, my brother came back home, my dad, I did, to support her. But what ended up happening is they addressed my drug problem. So I went to rehab and really spent the whole first year of my sobriety just focusing on how to stay sober, how to live life without using. And I was in the Marine Corps at this point, in the military, and I got deployed in 2012 to Afghanistan. So when I was deployed, I was in Helmand province and located on a main base there. And I got to check in with my Marines, the military people under me. And it ended up being a really beautiful experience because despite being in this unknown territory where anything could happen at any moment, it was such a privilege for me to be able to check in with the guys and be like, hey, how are you doing right now? What are you experiencing?
When I was 10 years old, my father was diagnosed with a glioblastoma brain tumor. I was too young at the time to really understand what cancer was or how it affected families and individual people. But I soon learned the toll it takes. And he was diagnosed when I was 10 years old, and by the time I was 11, I was helping my mom caretake for him on a day-to-day basis. I was giving my dad shots, changing us diapers, and just showering him. The caretaker role really took a turn in my family. somewhere along the lines, I picked up on drinking, and I actually can't remember my first drink. It was just something that was going to be, with me, something that I always turned to whenever I couldn't handle my emotions. And when I was in 7th grade, the summer after my father passed away, and shortly after my aunt, two aunts, my grandma, a friend, and an uncle passed away within 3 months, and that is kind of where I reached, my burning point. After 2 months of binge drinking, pretty much drinking every morning, drinking right after I got home from school, I was looking at myself in the mirror, not liking who I saw. And at that point, I just felt done with my life. And on Christmas Eve of 2011, there was just a normal family argument going on in my house, but for me, it's a really big deal and triggers me. And I decided that I was just done at that point. So on Christmas Eve, I had an attempted suicide, and fortunately, my mom is an RN, and she took care of me all night. But based on the way I was going, I didn't even care if I was going to make it, until the next morning. But luckily I did, and the day after Christmas is my sobriety date, December 26, 2011, and my mom told me, Merry Christmas, you're going to rehab, and that's where this beautiful, crazy journey has started for me.
And I had never intended to apply to UCLA. I just didn't think I was the person who can do that. And that's also a part of the stigma of addiction. I just thought people like me don't go to school like this. People like me are incapable of things like this.
It completely threw me off. Like I was planning to just stay at home and continue my own thing. I definitely didn't think that this would be where I'm at today.
When I got accepted, it was like a very, very emotional day for me because, just a few years prior, I was just hoping to die. And now it's like I was getting the opportunity to go to one of the best schools, and I don't know. I can't really explain how that feels. I don't know, it's just a miracle.
There are a lot of students that are young and want to be in recovery and want to be associated with other students that are in recovery but don't know how. And I think having a collegiate recovery program like Bruins for Recovery is a great place for sober students or people wanting to get sober to come together.
Bruins for Recovery helps so much, but it's helped me with the transition of coming to UCLA immensely. Having a fellowship of people who understand the process I went through and what it's like to be an alcoholic.
Of course, there's going to be drinking everywhere. I mean, not everyone is going to abstain from drinking while in college, no matter their age. But for me, and with this program on campus, the Bruins for Recovery program, I have a place where I could go, where there's others like me, and I could talk to them about if I get cravings or if temptations are just bad, and they understand me. So it creates just a really safe environment